Shalom, shalom, Mishpachah. This is Yared Yao checking in. So I don't know if you guys can hear me. I'm trying to make sure that my equipment is back the way that it needs to be. So greetings, blessings to everyone out there. Hope that everyone is blessed in your area. Things are looking crazy. Of course, they always look crazy. The way that we understand the things that are going on. We're living in a giant psyop. We're living in the times where the media, the mass marketing machine that basically tells Americans and then thus the world how to behave and what to do is ramping up for some big event. And we always say this, that hey, there's something coming, there's something coming, there's something coming. But then when these things happen, we don't see them as the thing coming that we said was coming. So a few years ago, when I first got into this research, when I first got into researching the mystery, because that's what I call it, researching the mystery, is, nothing more than the understanding that Elohim is real. And if Elohim is real, then the devil is real. And then the devil is going to be doing all these things on the earth as really proof text that Elohim is real. If it's not enough that we have the perfect environment, the perfect genetic structure, the perfect cellular structure, the perfect form, arms, legs, mouth, face, all of this perfection in creation, and then no Elohim, we know better than that. So the real question is which? And then when you start to analyze which religion has it most accurate, then you can say the religion of the Bible, the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, definitely knows the end from the beginning, because all the stuff that we see going on around us has been prophesied for a very, very, very long time. And so when we see these things come to pass, we can't be surprised when they happen, right? We scream, here it comes, the end is near, the world is ending, right? Well, you have to understand that it is. And when we say, oh, the disasters are coming, you have to, when the disasters come, say, hey, this is the disaster that was spoken about, right? In fact, there's foreshadowing for these disasters that even the adversary does, right? The adversary will do the foreshadowing himself, and then the disasters come. So the first time that we were able to see, when we go back in time, and I'm just looking at my timeline, there's lots and lots of disasters that have come and gone, especially in this country, right? Or in America. I'm in Africa. But in America, there's lots of disasters. The first one that was really one that impacted me on, a social level was 9/11, right? That was one of the disasters that was coming. So I used to watch Art Bell back in the day. Do you guys know who Art Bell is? He's the guy on Coast to Coast. Once I got into the conspiracy world, Art Bell was one of my go-to guys. Now I know the history behind it, and George Norrie as well. And on one of these shows, they had a caller call in, and he's supposed to be from Area 51, and ooh, aliens, right? And so what he says, and this is not, I don't think it's a real, the way that it was advertised, I don't think was real. I think it was put on, I think it was staged, but I think the information was true. So what he says is, what we think are aliens, right, are not really aliens. That they're interdimensional beings that the government made contact with, and now the disasters are coming. This is his words. He said the disasters are coming. And that's a wild thing to say. Because you would not, if this is just the alien mumbo jumbo that they've been telling us for years, then that's a non sequitur, right? What disasters are associated with the aliens, right? Unless they're going to fly down and and blow up the White House like in Independence Day. That's not what you expect. That's not what anybody, nobody's like, oh my guys, here come the aliens, here come the disasters. It just doesn't work that way, right? That's just not the way that it works. But what we do see, and what's wild, is these styles of terrorist attacks, and that they're all over the place. Do you see what I'm saying? The first one is, of course, 9/11. The big one is 9/11. And you can't even really call that the first one. You would have to call Columbine the first one, or McVeigh. Do you understand what I mean? Oklahoma City. That these disasters started to roll in the late 90s, early 2000s. Do you understand what I mean? And so when we look at the style of country that we have, and we look at these disasters that are happening, Scripture says that the end of the world will be like birth pains, that they'll just keep getting stronger and stronger and stronger until that new world is born. Do you understand what I mean? The old world dying, the new world being born. And so what it must look like is these waves of disaster. And that's fascinating, coming from Area 51. Do you see what I'm saying? That's an insight that somebody that's supposed to be in the alien atmosphere, in the alien mindset, shouldn't have, right? You shouldn't have that mindset. You're not thinking alien and then all of these disasters. You're just thinking aliens, right? What knowledge could we get from them? The technology and space travel and all this other mumbo jumbo. You're not focused on disaster. At least I wasn't. When I was a kid, when I was into that alien crap, I didn't think disaster. For him to say the disasters are coming is oddly specific, because that's a lot like the apocalypse, right? That's a lot like Revelation. Disaster after disaster after disaster. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so that's what we're starting to see. We're not seeing the seals opened just yet. Or the trumpets blowing. We're not seeing that just yet. But what we are seeing is the birth pains of a dying society, one that controls the world, right? And so when we see the Twin Towers destroyed in such a strange way, with so many strange characters around it, and such a wild and wicked backstory behind it, with all of the Larry Silversteins and the Israeli party, the Israeli monitoring and celebration, and the Mossad agents surrounding this disaster, it's not out of the question to say, wow, this is what they were talking about, right? This is what they were talking about when they said disasters were coming. Stuff like this, unexplained, wild. I mean, you have an explanation, but the explanation is just your own. Oh, okay, go ahead. But the explanation is that you have to believe is just as crazy, right? It's just as crazy. The real explanation is that these are the disasters that they were talking about. The next one, of course, the next big one is COVID. COVID is one of these disasters. Now, who said that the disasters would be seen as disasters? How come they wouldn't be seen as just, natural events or terrorism or any other excuse? Do you understand what I'm saying? Any other excuse. What you're actually looking at is pre-planned events that are staged on the world stage in order to make a change. Why wouldn't you be that way? Why wouldn't you do that? If you were a world power, if you're an overpowering government with the ability to fake things, the ability to put on presentations that was so real feeling that they could be passed as real. Do you understand? They could be passed as real. We know this is what they were thinking of doing. Do you guys remember Orson Welles? What was it? What was the Orson Welles program? War of the Worlds, right? War of the Worlds, I think it was called. Orson Welles' War of the Worlds. He got on and started act. This is 100 years ago, right? He got on the radio, and of course, I don't remember it. People that are in this line of research come across this information. So remember, he was an actor, and he acted. Hey, y'all, hush! And he acted as if aliens had landed, right? He was a news broadcaster. This is the way that he was acting, and he was looking out and seeing alien spacecrafts and war and people running, and he's, reporting it like he's a newscaster. And in the area where it was, where it was played, the people panicked. Do you understand that the people went crazy? The people went crazy. And so they soon figured out that people couldn't tell the difference between media and reality. Then, of course, they started blending the two to make it reality TV, and even, further than that. Even further than that. Do you see what I'm saying? What if you take away I guess you would say, the concept of entertainment? Do you see what I'm saying? What if you remove the idea of entertainment and make it to where that this was a real thing? So if you put Universal Pictures in front of it, then it's a movie. If you remove that, then it's reality. Then it's the news, you guys. Then it's the news. So that means that the average person is not going to tell the difference between Universal Pictures and CNN. You guys understand? That means that you've got a whole nother level of propaganda at your disposal. At your disposal. That you don't have to worry about whether or not they believe you. You have a belief machine where you can make DreamWorks reality. And you can just blend it right into society as if nobody would catch it. And nobody does, right? That's how we know that the Twin Towers weren't the idea of this guy that's living in caves, and you got to have the half of the world search for him and rat him out like a whole, all this whole stagecraft, right? You don't need any of that I guess you could call it cinematic experience. You see what I'm saying? But that's what you have. Does it really work like that? There's one person that's behind this huge conspiratorial event, and you get to live on camera with half the world hunt him down in Afghanistan. I mean, it's a movie, right? It's a movie. And it's a real war. Real people dying. But for cinematic backdrop. Do you see what I'm saying? The way that it works is that people can't tell whether it's real or not, so they assume it to be real, so then they think it's real. And they behave as if it's real, even though it's fabricated. So real death, real bombs, real blood. That's the way that it works. That's the only way that it works, because otherwise people would know it's fake. If you didn't see the real blood, if you didn't see real people dying, people would say, oh, well, this is a production, right? But the way the world works, the way America works, the fiction becomes reality when you portray the fiction as reality. And then that's why we have this Austin Metcalf situation, right? Austin Metcalf, Carmelo Anthony. Didn't we talk about this? Didn't we already talk about this last year when the event happened? Didn't we say that it was going to be timed in such a way to be advantageous to the movement? Do you see what I'm saying? What movement? Where are we moving to? You've seen the world. You've seen America turn into a white supremacist dictatorship within the last 5 years, y'all. I've been in Africa 5 years, and 5 years ago the world knew that America wasn't a white supremacist dictatorship, and now it can't be anything but. You see what I'm saying? Of course, we Hebrews and people that are in the truth understand this, but of course, it's hidden in the media as this bastion of freedom and hope and salvation. But that's just not what it is, right? That's absolutely not what it is. It is actually a white supremacist dictatorship. And that becomes absolutely clear with Trump in the presidency. While Biden and all the rest of them hid it and, attempted to hide it, Trump's not doing that. He's just way out in the open with it. And now we all know. And so like that, the world changes. And now we are at the mercy of this white supremacist dictatorship all over the world, really. All over the world. Even us here in Africa, we're at their mercy still, right? That's the name of the game. And so when we see this trial coming up at the head of several other major events, the next thing that's coming up, you guys, is the 250th anniversary of America. 4th of July, 2026. Marks 250 years. And just like we talked about last year, this event is trotted out in front of you as a race war. That, wait a second, you've got a black man and a white man at odds. And the black man is getting the victory over this white man. It is being promoted as a method of antagonizing the public, you guys. It's a spell. And the spell is being cast over society at the same time as the 250th anniversary for the 4th of July. I do not think that's a coincidence. Does that mean that this huge event is going to happen? Does that mean that America is going to end on the 4th of July? I don't know. I think America ended a little while ago. I think that this Trump presidency and the COVID restrictions marked the end of America, or at least the America that we all remember, where the rules mattered, where you couldn't get away with murder because some people were watching you. The framework had to appear to work. Right? And so since it had to appear to work, it had to actually work for some people. So you had equal opportunity, you had all of these implemented safeguards so that the discrimination of the past did not become the discrimination of the future. They had to do that in order to pacify an angry and poisoned popular subpopulation of Hebrews. Do you understand what I'm saying? They had to give us a bone. Now that bone is gone. Now that bone is gone. And now the flames of insurrection are being fanned by trotting out this Austin Metcalf, Carmelo Anthony right into the forefront right before the anniversary. Now, if this was a natural event and a natural court, case, if this was all on the up and up and everything was as it should be, would they trot it out right before the 4th of July? Would they do that right before the biggest, patriotic holiday of the year? Do you see what I'm saying? Didn't this happen last year? And if it happened last year, why wait until this precise moment, a month before the 250-year anniversary? Why? The reason why is because it's a propaganda event from the start. That's what we said last year. Was it last year? It had to be last year, right? That's what we said last year, and that's what it looks like now. You can hold the trial anytime you want. You even have the right to a speedy trial. But since this is not on the up and up, since both the sides are involved, do we have to go over, all the nuances of this case to see that this is staged? You had the Austin Metcalf side, which was mad strange. You have his twin who was acting strangely, behaving strangely. You have his father who was, giving soapbox, press conferences. You have his mother. You have him dressed in all black. You have them, becoming a part of this wrestling team. These wrestling teams that we already know have a whole lot of stuff going on. These sports teams in the high school, we know that they have a whole lot going on behind the scenes in these schools, especially in these different parts of Texas and all of these other different places. So the whole thing was weird to begin with. The way that the dad acted, the way that the mom acted, the lack of emotion, the manufactured emotion, especially on the Austin Metcalf side. It just looked mad fake, y'all. The emotion looked fake, all of it, from top to bottom. And I remember doing these videos and going over in specific, you guys go back and watch them, the inconsistencies. And then also with the Carmelo Anthony side, with the was it his attorney that was, again, soapboxing, with his mama soapboxing, with the mama being in control and the dad is just kind of off to the side shaking his head, with the other guy, the crazy, what was he, a civil rights leader, then a pastor, then some other things with the wild background. It seemed like an entire staged event, you guys. The whole thing seemed put together, and we called it out when it happened, right? Wait a second, this looks like a propaganda event, a psyop. That's what this looks like. And with these psyops, both sides are together. You have both sides together in an agreed upon arrangement for the benefit of both parties. And it works as a real sacrifice because they've actually killed this boy. Right? They've actually killed the boy. And so you never know. They could have even staged it in the way that was a sacrifice. Like everybody could have been in on it. The people there could have all been in on it. We know, listen, you guys just don't recognize what's capable, what's possible out there. What the government is capable of. If you look at Newtown, right? If you look at the Sandy Hook shooting, if you look at the events around that, man, there were some good YouTube videos back in the day that covered this topic to an extensive amount. Just all sorts of information, all sorts of research, and Alex Jones got taken down because of this. But there's such a plethora of information that the whole thing was not like a hoax, like nobody died. We know people died, but just a staged event, like a staged sacrifice. You see what I'm saying? First of all, the school, there was no internet activity at the school the entire previous year, as if the school never even existed, like it was some sort of new school. Then all the neighbors in the community, this Newtown community, were all new, had all bought their houses and moved to the area, like within 3 years of the shooting. Like the last 3 to 5 years is when all the people moved to the town. Then you had the crazy, like there was a guy that was rescuing kids. It's just some crazy old guy, and he's fake crying and all sorts of stuff. Then the mayor of the city came out and said that we were prepared that something like this may happen in our area. How are you prepared for that? I mean, he's on camera saying that they were prepared for a random mass shooting. They had been warned that something like this could come to their area. And you say, oh, well, now mass shootings are all over the place. But you would especially know if they were planning to just pull one in your area, right? Right? Doggone coroner saying all sorts of weird stuff. Oh, this town is going to take its head on this one. Ha ha ha. Busting out laughing during a press conference that's about, 12, 13, 14 children getting killed? It appeared as if the entire town was in on it. Everybody looking funny. One of the dads laughing and preparing himself before he comes on. Like, you've got the whole video where he's laughing and joking with the guys, and then he prepares himself to go on camera and grieve and talk about his dead son or daughter. I can't remember if he had a son or a daughter. But you can see him preparing to grieve. You can see him get into character, y'all. You watch him get into character. Am I the only one that has seen this video? And he's laughing and joking with the guys before. They're watching him get into character. So nobody wants to investigate him for anything because he's pretending, because this is clearly a pretend. The people that he's around don't think that it's strange that this father who is not grieving but is pretending to grieve. Nobody else sees that. That's there. None of the investigators, nothing. Nobody thinks that's strange. Nobody reports on it. You see what I'm saying? It means the town was involved. It means the town was involved. That everybody in the town knew that it was coming. Imagine driving through this town. Let's just say you're a traveler, right? Let's just say you're going to, this is in Connecticut. Let's just say you're going to New York somewhere. You're coming from Maryland, you're going to New York somewhere. Forgive me on my American geography if I'm not getting it right. Do you go through Connecticut? Yeah, I think you do. Do you got to go through Maryland to Connecticut to New York? I think you do. So let's just say you're traveling through, you're passing through, you stop at a gas station, and let's just say you get, something goes wrong on your car, and you're going to have to take it to a mechanic, and you've got to spend the night there. You've got everybody in the city, part of this strange group that are preparing to do this thing, all of them around, and they're all looking at you because you don't belong there. Imagine going through in the weeks coming up to this event happening and everybody being terrified because they all know something that you don't, and they're all looking at you as if you know. Have you ever come across something or someone that you thinks you know something about them, so they start acting strange? Do you see what I'm saying? Let me tell you. When I was first studying this stuff, right, I was mad zealous for, tearing down the satanic establishment. Now I know that, Yahushua Mashiach is my sword, right? He's the one that's going to come and slay the dragon, and I don't have to, right? I just got to find his sheep. I don't have to slay the dragon. Do you see what I'm saying? I've got to guard against the devil and his devices, but I don't have to slay the dragon. It's not a fight that I have to fight. Yahushua fights that fight for me. And so, but back then, back in the day, I wanted to fight the fight. You see what I'm saying? And not in a physical way, but in a preaching way, in an emotional way, right? And so there was this giant mural on Main Street in the city where I'm from, and the mural was in my cousin's old neighborhood, just one of my old half stomping grounds in the south side of the city, off of Main Street there, and so the community, we saw it gentrified. We saw it gentrified right before our eyes. And then one of the places that was the last place, to go was my cousin in them street, and it's right down the street from this one place. And so it finally went up, and they got ran out, and everybody else on that block got ran out too. And they put this art shop there, just across the corner. And that art shop had actually been there for a little while. But it was this artsy-fartsy place, and they had a big wall that faced Main Street. And they had this big mural up of a pyramid with an eye at the top, right? Of a pyramid with an eye at the top. And so I said, dang, that's a satanic sign right there. They got it blasting in the community, in the old community. And it had been there actually for a little while. It had been there for years before, right? What's up? It had been there for years before. And so I said, let's go in there. So me and my wife and my newborn at the time go in there. And we start looking at the paintings. And we go in there, and of course on the inside it's all sorts of satanic stuff. They had the Day of the Dead in there, and they had all sorts, the Day of the Dead in Mexico, where they wear all the masks and the skeletons. It's like Halloween is in the United States, except it's called the Day of the Dead, Dia los Muertos, I think. in Mexico, right? And it's a satanic celebration just like it is in America. And some people know that it's a satanic celebration there, just like they know it's a satanic celebration here or here in America. I'm not in America, I'm in Africa, but there, Mexico and America, right? Some people know it's a satanic celebration in both places, and apparently these guys do, because they're showing you these pictures of the Day of the Dead. What do they have? What connection do they have to Mexico? They're trying to be artsy fartsy when in reality it's just satanic. It's just a cover for Satanism. This artsy fartsy place is a cover for Satanism in the community. And so I kind of check them on it, and I say, isn't this like a satanic thing? This Day of the Dead, why do you even have this in here? And I said, it's like the Illuminati that you got outside. And they're like, oh, what? Huh? What? And I said, don't worry, we're just coming in to check. You see what I'm saying? Just coming in to check on you. And so we leave, right? But before we leave, we said, can we use your bathroom? And so we go in there and use the bathroom because my son is actually, spoiled his diaper, and so we got to change his diaper real quick. And so we leave the diaper in the trash can right outside because we forgot to throw it away. And they're watching us the whole time. I didn't even know that they were watching us so close. But we got up out of there, right? And when we left, they went and looked in the trash can at what we threw away. And I said, what? What did they think we did? Do you see what I'm saying? Did they think we were trying to, what did they think we left there? What did they think we were doing? Did they think it was some sort of trap that they checked the trash can to see what we threw away. Go through that bad boy if you want to. Try to see if it's some sort of device or whatever. You're going to get crap because it's a dirty diaper. It ain't nothing more than that, right? I hope they didn't go through it. Well, go through it. Go ahead. They say this anyway, right? But what's crazy is they were acting all guilty. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, oh, you see, they were acting mad guilty. And guess what, you guys? In 2 weeks, they took the mural down that had been up for years, at least a decade. That mural had been there. They took that mural down within 2 weeks and replaced it with a different one. And the one that they replaced it with had like vines and then it still had the eyes, but it was vines on the end of the vines were the eyes. Do you see what I'm saying? And so it was even more creepy than the first one, but it wasn't so obvious. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so when we see this, we say, look at them paranoid. What are they paranoid about? Because they are actually hiding something. They are hiding that they're in this secret satanic cult that does all of these things behind the scenes. And they're always nervous and always paranoid because they're doing all these wild and weird things, and then they're having to behave as normal people. And those ones that aren't complete like sociopaths, you can see through the cracks. The ones that are sociopaths, we call them actors. We call them Hollywood actors. And they are actually the best people to be these double murderous, secret life individuals, the Epstein individuals, because they lie for a living. You see what I'm saying? That's why Hollywood is full of them, because these are the people that lie for a living. They're able to mask their true nature the best, right? And that's why we know that these things are set up, that these Austin Metcalfs, these Carmelo Anthonys, these situations that have more political sway than actual, public, I guess you could say veracity or validity. Do you see what I'm saying? These things that seem to be weird on the surface but work more as a political strategy than as an actual event. We know that they are fabricated. We know that they are generated in order to do something, right? And now, can we figure out what it is beforehand? Usually not. Maybe we can tell by the pieces that are in place or by the the people that are involved, even the races of the people that are involved, what their motive is, and we can look at this situation and see that motive. Because we see the war happening, and I say war, it's a war on Hebrew America. It's the government of America against the Hebrews of America. You guys have seen American Jew, the American Jew series, where, Nixon declared war on the Hebrew population, but he did it in code. He said that it was a war on drugs, the drug war. It was already established that drug war meant a war on black society. They say black society and hippies, but it was actually just black society, because the hippies were joined with the black society at that time. We know that drug war continued on after Nixon and all the way up until the Bush-Reagan era and all the way into the 90s. And, it was the whole time, the entire time, a war of drugs against the black community, not a war on drugs. It's just the play in words and the play in people that is an entire society in itself. You guys don't understand that if you are satanic, then that means you're automatically racist against Elohim's people. You have to understand that a satanic society will be racist against Elohim's people. It's not just worshiping the devil, right? It's hating Elohim. That's what they're doing. And if they hate him, they hate you because he chose you, right? And that's the beef that they have. They're saying that he's racist, but in reality, he has the right to choose. If he wants to choose a people, he can, and he did. And so what you're seeing in America, well, all this stuff that you're seeing right now is positioning against the people of Elohim. And that includes with the aliens too, you guys, because we've got a dual event coming. Because this Disclosure Day is not a joke either, because they're pulling something really weird out of the hat. They're pulling something strange out of this hat. And this Disclosure Day may be even more than we can see up front. It may be just the start of a war. And, I'm interested to see how they're going to play this, because they're actually giving hints at what's true. That the government is posturing as if it's getting ready to announce that aliens are demons, y'all. And that's what's got my mind blown. There's no way that they can announce that, can they? Can they say aliens are demons and then get away with having these movies that are semi-worshiping the aliens? Can they get away with that? I mean, maybe. I don't know. But we gonna see, because that is also being scheduled along the same timeline or the same time frame as these racial events. So I'm trying to see the connection, and the connection is a very weird one. And I don't even want to say it out loud until I got more evidence on it. And so you guys will stay tuned for that. But I just wanted to go over just a couple things that I'm seeing in society right now. There's all these things that are going on. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of things going on online too that I haven't been able to speak about just yet. But we'll get in there with a little bit more commentary about what's going on. But until then, shalom, shalom. I really appreciate being back in the driver's seat. And I hope you guys are along for the ride. Shalom, shalom, family.